Thank you guys for coming. My name is Garrett English. I'm the Director of Academic Engagement at CBU. So I coordinate study abroad and faculty-led trips on our university side. And recently we set up a brand new partnership with LCC International University in Lithuania. And Sarah is one of our partners, and she worked to facilitate that process. And so she's going to share a little bit on study abroad in Lithuania and what that looks like. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to working with more CBU students. I'm an Azusa Pacific grad myself, so super familiar with the area. And I know your Dean of Spiritual Life, John Montgomery, very well. He and I are friends and have worked on various projects. So very familiar with Cal Baptist. And so I'm super pumped about this partnership. So I'm a West Coaster myself. I grew up in Oregon and then moved to California. So I definitely kind of had that West Coast culture, but then after college, just really started to travel the world. And I lived in Asia for several years and loved working with students abroad. And so that took me to Gordon College in Massachusetts, and I worked with our volunteer teams. And then through my time at Gordon, got hooked up with this university in Lithuania, had a couple of colleagues who actually left Gordon to go work for LCC. And so I followed along. One of my really good friends is now the director of discipleship at LCC. And so she was the one who kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, we've got this really cool university that is kind of small and no one's really heard of Lithuania, but we'd love to have you come and work with us. So that's kind of how I ended up in Lithuania. But Garrett, I don't know how much you want me to just go ahead and monologue, or if you want to ask questions, if I should just jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to let all the students know that if you guys have questions at any point, feel free to throw them in the question section, and we're happy to address the questions then and there. Like this is pretty informal, we're just here to have a conversation, and I know you guys get zoomed out from professors and other events, where people are talking all the time, and I get zoomed out. So yeah, Sarah, feel free to share on Lithuania, but if there are questions, I'd love to, we can always pause and address those. It looks like someone mentioned they're from Lithuania, so that's awesome.
Oh, awesome. Cool, great.
Yeah, how many students have you met from Lithuania while you're doing these webinars?
Not too many. I mean, I know they're out there in the US, and one of my colleagues actually went to LCC, but she grew up in Vancouver, Washington, but she's a kind of multinational, like Lithuanian American, but I haven't met too many, so that's awesome. So this picture that you see on your screen was taken in the fall semester of let's see, whatever the one was before COVID hit. So this is a group of our study abroad students. This is in our little town of Klaipėda, so we're right on the river, and we are located in Europe, right on the Baltic Sea. And I do have a map in a little bit. I can show you a little bit more specifically, but we're right below Sweden. So we are a coastal town, a port city. We have the Baltic Sea, so we've got beaches, which is kind of surprising for a lot of people. We are considered Northern Europe, so very easily accessible to places like Stockholm and other places in the Baltics. So one of the things that I love the most about LCC is that we truly are an international university. I know for me, going to APU kind of feels like you're in a bubble sometimes, and you've got this kind of small culture, and APU is a lot smaller than Cal Baptist, but still, I think you probably know what that feels like. LCC is a student body of about 650 students, but we have over 50 countries represented on campus. So we really are like the world right all together in one place. And then kind of specifically to this semester, I'm teaching intercultural communication. And it's a 300 level class, so we've got mostly juniors. But I think we have 15 countries represented in my class of 50. And so the conversations that we're having in class are so diverse and interesting, and we're talking about culture and all these kinds of things. And such great perspectives in the classroom because people come from all over. And it's not just they're coming from Eastern Europe. We do have a lot of Ukrainians, Lithuanians, but then we've got people from India and people from Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. And so like all these cultures in one place is just really, really cool. And that's been my favorite part of being at LCC is, learning about cultures that I really didn't know a whole lot about. also oversee our intercultural programming on campus. I have 4 student leaders that I oversee. One is from Kyrgyzstan, one is from Russia, one is from Latvia, and one is from Belarus. And so even in our small little group of 5, I'm always getting such interesting perspectives and having great conversations. So if you're wanting a really international experience, not just going to, I've worked with Study Abroad for a long time now, so this is not knocking other programs, but you go to Rome and you study art in Rome, you're getting kind of an Italian perspective on life and culture, and that's great. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but coming to LCC, you're not just getting Lithuanian culture, you're getting so many other cultures right there in the classroom. We are a liberal arts university, so very similar to what you're experiencing at Cal Baptist. We have well-rounded areas of study. So we offer 6 different majors. We have business, theology, psychology, English, international relations and development, and then contemporary communication. So those are the majors that we offer. So if you're one of those majors, that's awesome, because you can take upper division classes and you could do an internship or a practicum. So that's beneficial for you if you're one of those majors. But if you're not one of those majors, that's okay too, because we have all the lower division classes that you can take that are, marketing and other classes that relate to these majors that are not specific to those majors, that you could transfer as an elective, or just, take things that you would count for your lower division classes, core classes, especially for Christian universities. Since we are a Christian university as well, a lot of students come in and just get all like their Bible out of the way. So you can take several Bible classes or theology classes. And then most Christian schools like CBU require those anyway. So that's a great option. All of our classes are taught in English, so language isn't a barrier. Garrett brought up the point of the language that is spoken in Lithuania. It is Lithuanian. So that is the predominant language spoken in town. I will say though, because we do have a lot of post-Soviet countries students who come to LCC, Russian is actually probably the language that's spoken most on campus in the residence halls. So in classes, everything is in English, but living in the residence halls, you'll probably hear more Russian than English. So it's a great way to kind of brush up on your Russian a little bit. And I just heard today that we might be adding Russian as a class that you can take, which would be awesome. Yeah, Russian and German are 2 classes we're hoping to add within the next semester or 2. So I always thought, Lithuanian is great to take while you're in Lithuania, but Russian is super useful for so many more things and places along the way.
I wanted to ask, do you have like an estimate of how many classes you guys do offer out of those different majors in different fields?
Like how many they could choose from?
Yeah.
Like scores. I don't know exactly. We have so many. I mean, truly, the list is so long. I'm not even sure 100. Maybe we are constantly rotating through. We have our core classes that we are always offering. But one of the cool things is a lot of our professors will come with their areas of expertise and come for a semester or a year. So for example, we have a professor who's an expert in cybersecurity. Because of COVID, he ended up staying longer at LCC. He just decided, why go back to the States, so he can stay in Lithuania. So this is his 2nd year at LCC. He's teaching cybersecurity, but he's from Bluefield College, which I think is in Virginia. And so he brings his expertise. We're offering classes in cybersecurity. We probably won't be when he leaves, but someone else will come in with their area of expertise and we'll offer something different. Those are usually upper division classes. But we have found that, especially for people in these majors, very easy to find something that will fit in the schedule. I'm not sure if that's a very good answer. It's a little bit vague, but.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what I've seen usually with study abroad is it can be really hard to find the right classes. I mean, sometimes the number of classes are just limited. So it's cool to hear that there's that many offerings available to students. It seems like there's a lot to choose from.
For sure. And we do have, so each semester what we offer does change, but if anyone wants to go onto our website, you can look and see what we're offering currently. There's like a drop down and you can kind of scroll through and see what's currently being offered. And that doesn't change a ton from year to year. It might change a little bit from semester to semester, just because some are offered in the fall, some are offered in the spring. I will say one of the like biggest challenges would be for anyone who's in the STEM field. We don't really offer any science classes that would be very useful. So if someone was a STEM major, coming and just getting GEs out of the way would probably be the best option. So I'll talk a little bit about our campus. So this is a really nice aerial shot of our campus. You can see the kind of orange and white building in the kind of first part of the screen. That's our gym, and also where my office is and the Center for International Education. Right behind that, kind of to the left, is our main academic building. So all of our classrooms are housed there. And then to the right of the orange building, we have the pond, and then the two buildings that are adjacent there. Those are our two residence halls, so Enns and Newman. As I said, we have about 650 students on campus. Currently, because of COVID, I think we have about 250 students only in our residence halls. A lot of students are studying from home at the moment, but typically those residence halls are full, and there's a kind of a shared kitchen situation on each floor. So that's a great place where students build community. In talking with past study abroad students, they've said that that's probably one of their favorite places in the dorms is the kitchens, just because of the mix of cultures. There are always people cooking their cultural dishes, and food is a thing that brings people together. And so even talking with my intercultural class and talking about what it's like in the residence halls, that food is a great way to bond and to learn about other cultures. I think I might actually have, let's see, a picture here. So this is actually from today. I just grabbed this picture. So my intercultural leaders made what's called kepta duona. It's like a fried bread with garlic. It's a traditional Lithuanian dish. And so my leaders made these for all of our students on campus. So serving for 250 students. That little card on the front is the flags of each of my leaders. And then it says skanos, which is like bon appetit in Lithuanian. And then that QR code takes them to the recipe of the kepta duona. So just something fun that sharing food together, and especially during COVID, you can see, everything has to be individually wrapped. But this is just, what our student body does, and, sharing food and sharing culture. So this is a really cool part of the experience. Living on campus, we place all of our study abroad students with non-study abroad students. So you're always paired with an LCC group. And so our residence halls are 4 to 6 people sharing a suite. So it's like 2 rooms with a shared bathroom. And again, great way to probably learn Russian in the rooms. So there's usually at least one Russian speaker in each room, just because of how many countries come with that as a common language. So, but we do have common areas where you can study and spread out, and our residence halls are relatively new, I think built within the last 10 years or so. So very comfortable and modern, and everything you would expect from a residence hall. Any questions, Garrett, or anybody else? I don't want to go too fast.
That's really awesome that you guys kind of mix both groups, because I think that is a complaint sometimes is, hey, I'm going to this other country and I'm only surrounded by Americans. So that's really kind of smart that your program, mixes the study abroad students with maybe students that are already going there, the local students. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, we started doing this when I started in 2019. Is we don't just have our study abroad program. We have what's called Erasmus Exchange. So it's European and Asian students who come also for a short-term, 4-month exchange experience. And so those is a fairly diverse group. I think in fall 2019, when I first started, we had students from Indonesia, from South Korea, France, Belgium, Norway. And so there's a group of these students. And so between Erasmus and study abroad, there's typically a group of about 25 to 40. And we do a lot of stuff together. So we do orientation together. We do a lot of kind of the beginning of the semester tours around the city together. So it's a great way to get to know other study abroad students, but also a really cool way to get to know international exchange students. So you're automatically kind of connecting with other country cultures who are also coming for a short-term experience. I know that's a challenge for some study abroad students to integrate with the 4-year bachelor students, just, it's like you're a short-term person coming in, and that can be hard to kind of break into groups or whatever. But those international exchange students are in the same boat as the study abroad students. So that's a really natural connection. And because we do so much stuff together, that's a great kind of automatic friend base. So this past semester, in the fall, I guess, we had a group of German students who came and braved COVID in the fall. And so they were able to connect with our study abroad students as well. So you'll definitely not just be with Americans, for sure. I'll jump into the kind of food and money part. So one of the great benefits, I think, of our program is that part of your program cost is a monthly stipend for whatever you want to use it for. So we give you cash in hand every month. It's 175 euros each month. And that's yours to spend how you want to spend it. So if you want to kind of eat on the cheap and eat ramen every day, you could save that and use it for whatever else you wanted. Most students choose to use it for food. We have, like I said, kitchens in the residence halls. We also have a cafeteria, so you can buy food in the cafeteria. But that's yours to budget how you want. And so that's how food is paid for. And most students choose to cook, but there's also great restaurants and things around. And things are starting to loosen up a little bit in Klaipėda. So I think certainly by the time fall rolls around, they're anticipating that restaurants and everything should be back kind of open, at least to eat outside. So we're hopeful that that will be the case by the fall. And then kind of the fun part is the travel piece of what we do. So this is what I probably should have started with the map. So the filled in blue is Lithuania, and the little dot that says Klaipėda is where our university is. So as I said, we're right on the Baltic Sea, just across the sea from Sweden. And typically during a normal non-COVID time, we would take multiple trips. We would start by going to Riga, Latvia, and Tallinn, Estonia, for a short, kind of like a long weekend, I guess, trip. And so that's a cultural trip that we do. And then some other options of places that we can go, depending on COVID restrictions, would be going south and doing kind of like a World War II trip. So that would go through Warsaw, Krakow, Poland. Helsinki is also nearby. And so that's been an option as well, of doing Riga, Tallinn, and Helsinki. And you actually take this ferry across the water to Helsinki, which is pretty cool. So that's the long weekend trip that we would do typically. And then the spring break or fall break trip that we would normally do would be to St. Petersburg, which is up there in the top, and to Moscow. So we, in Moscow, we go to, the Kremlin, do all the major sites in Moscow. St. Petersburg, go to the ballet. So many, it really is just like this amazing cultural place, so much to learn, so much history, visit Lenin's tomb and see him in the flesh. It just it's unbelievable. Russia is just such an amazing place. And we take the overnight train, which I went last spring. I was not sure I was going to be looking forward to it. It's about 17 hours on the overnight train to Moscow from Klaipėda, but it actually was really enjoyable. It was a great way to get to know one another better. And you mostly just sleep the whole time. So this is what we're planning on doing probably in 2022, 2023. In the meantime, this is our kind of a little bit of a changed itinerary. So rather than going to Russia, at the moment, Russia is very closed. It's difficult to get a visa anyway. Right now, it's impossible. So we've changed our itinerary. We'll still plan on doing Latvia and Estonia. But if you can see there on the right-hand side, Tbilisi, Georgia, is in the Caucasus, and it's right near Azerbaijan, Armenia, that's, Turkey. And down there, the Republic of Georgia is high on my list of places that I want to go. I've never been, but I have a lot of students from Georgia and I've seen their pictures. Again, packed full of history. It's beautiful. There's mountains, there's water. And so many of our students come from Georgia. So it's a really natural fit for us to take our study abroad students there. We've done this in the past for when other kind of reasons have come up where we can't go to Russia. And it's been a huge success with our study abroad students. It's a place that students come away just kind of falling in love with. it's again probably one of those places that a lot of people haven't heard of. I usually have to clarify that, especially with my current students. I'm right now living in Georgia, the state, and so I have to say I'm living in Georgia, the state, not the country. And they have to clarify I'm from Georgia, the country, not the state. This, in some ways, I think it really is an equal trade-off. Russia's amazing, but from everything that I've heard about Georgia, it's equally amazing. And so we're actually really excited to be taking our students to Georgia coming up in the fall.
Sarah, that's on my bucket list too, but I wanted to ask, do students are there some windows of time where they can go travel to, I see Italy and Rome on there, I see Athens, Greece, Istanbul, Turkey. Do they have like time before or after the semester, maybe even during the semester, to travel to other places on their own maybe?
Yeah, definitely. So we are students who come to LCC come on a study visa. So beyond the study visa, you're still allowed the 90 days in Europe on a tourist visa. So you can come early or stay late, and certainly travel before or after. But even during the semester, I think studying abroad really is a balancing act. As someone who teaches classes, I encourage students to attend class, certainly, but we also encourage students to, like, this is a kind of a once in a lifetime thing. If you want to take a Friday or a Monday and, miss a class here or there, take a long weekend. Like you said, everything is so close, very accessible. And, once things start to opening up again, and I feel confident that, we're moving in a really positive direction. There's cheap flights all over. When I was living, like I said, I'm in the States at the moment, but I was living in Lithuania for several years. And, I hopped on a plane. I met a student of mine who was studying abroad in Rome for a long weekend, and we rented a car and drove down the Amalfi Coast, and very easy to do. Just this past summer, we rented a car and drove all the way through Poland into Germany. We did do that kind of World War II, went to a bunch of museums, and just, such amazing history. So everything's really easy to get to in Europe. And so we strongly recommend that students take the opportunity to do that. At the same time, we have had some students who traveled every single weekend and were always away. And at the end of the semester, they say, this is a kind of a common theme, that they wish that they hadn't done that. They wish that they had invested a little bit more in getting to know people on LCC's campus, doing some more kind of local things. Even now, because we're so limited in where we can go, we do have one brave soul from Colorado Christian University with us at the moment, studying abroad, and we can't travel, we can't do anything. So we're trying to get creative. What can we do? We can't even travel outside of the municipality at the moment. So they're in pretty strict lockdown right now. So we're getting creative with all the things we can do in Lithuania. And even then, we're kind of discovering there's so many cool places just really kind of right near campus that we tend to look out more and think of, Stockholm and Rome and Prague, of all these places to go. But Lithuania does have a lot to offer, just in terms of natural beauty, forests, obviously the sea, villages, and different cool architecture, even the history itself. It's very old history. So anyway, it's this balancing act of, we definitely want you to travel, but also to enjoy everything that Lithuania has to offer.
Absolutely.
I think my last kind of point that I want to definitely hit on is that we are a Christian university, which is the reason why a lot of students from schools like Cal Baptist choose it. All of our professors are coming from schools like Gordon, Aziz Pacific, Lee University. We get a lot of our professors are coming from Christian universities. So that's going to be the worldview that things are taught from. At the same time, because we have students coming from so many different countries, so many different backgrounds, it really is diverse in terms of kind of religious backgrounds. So we've got, Orthodox, we have Muslim, we have Catholic, we have atheists. So very diverse student body. So kind of in the same way of being culturally diverse and having interesting conversations in the classroom, it really is an interesting place to have conversations about faith. Again, coming from having gone to Christian school myself, there's, so many amazing things about that. But you're kind of having the same kind of conversations. At LCC, they're so different. You're getting so many different perspectives when it comes to religion. And so it's a great place to kind of see what faith is like outside of a North American context. which is, kind of more real world in some ways. And I think that's a really, cool thing that LCC has to offer. But we are, our institutional DNA is solidly Christian. And a lot of our professors come kind of with a missional attitude and a lot of our professors are actually fundraise themselves. So they'll take a sabbatical and take time and be generous with their time in that way. So that's something we value. And so I love this kind of faith diversity and having really cool conversations. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the semester program. The longer that I've been at LCC, the more I really just love it. And it's not so much the institution. I love our students, certainly our study abroad students. I've so enjoyed getting to know in the spring. So our last cohort that we had before COVID, we had 12 students from 12 different universities. So it was just really cool to have, everybody coming from different parts of the US. And I loved getting to know our study abroad students, but our 4-year BA students are really, really amazing. And I've just loved getting to know them and just think the community is awesome and so unique. So I really couldn't speak more highly of the program itself. I think Lithuania is a really underrated place. So I just, encourage more and more people to check it out. And so I will say, I don't know if we want to come back to it. We also are offering a summer program. So just kind of put it out there into the world that if for some reason semester's not possible, we do offer a summer program as well. And you can find more information about that online if you're interested.
Awesome. Well, does anyone have any questions so far? If so, feel free to enter them in the Q&A section or in the chat. Sarah, I wanted to ask you, I think you mentioned it briefly, but there is an opportunity for internships while students are studying abroad there. Could you share a little bit more on that?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a couple of internships actually in our office. So we're always in desperate need of a social media intern. And sometimes we have students with amazing skills and sometimes we don't. And so our social media is always kind of ebbing and flowing in how good the content is. But that's a really natural one because it's in our office. And so we oversee that position. But beyond that, we're very well connected in the city itself. So for example, our study abroad student who's currently with us, she's really interested in logistics. We're able to connect her with a shipping company that's based in Klaipėda. And so kind of because we're a small school, it's easier for us to kind of take students and find out exactly what they're interested in and then connect them with the right person. So it's not that we have like XYZ internship and you can plug into this very specific thing. It's more like, tell us what you're interested in, tell us what you'd like to do. And we'll reach out to the faculty or staff or connections that we have in the city and plug you in the right place. So kind of the benefit, I mean, it's both a challenge and a benefit, I guess. The challenge is it takes a little bit more legwork, but the benefit is because we're small, there's 12 to 20 study abroad students at any given time. So you have our full attention, and we certainly want to plug you in with the best thing possible. So lots of connections with businesses in town. We have connections with the embassy. NGOs, there's volunteering opportunities, certainly with churches around, very well connected. So lots of opportunities that again, sort of back to my previous, it's a little bit vague, but we kind of like to leave it open-ended.
Well, that's awesome. I think that's a wonderful opportunity for students to also, there is some questions in the chat. So someone asked, when does one have to sign up? And then also another question kind of tied to that. Where can students apply for the summer program? What does the deadlines look like?
Yeah, great question. So for 2021 fall, our application deadline is March 15th. So it's coming up fairly quickly. Other than that, so it's March 15th and October 15th, so October for the spring. But if you're not planning on coming next semester, you really could kind of sign up, give us your information at any time, and we'll just keep you in the loop basically, and work with you. It's me pretty much. So if you apply, you'd be working with me. So, and I work with all of our students kind of one-on-one. So whether that's answering questions or really taking you all the way from I'm interested in hearing more to getting you on the plane and getting your visa and getting you to Lithuania. So yeah, specifically for fall, it's March 15th. For the summer program, our application deadline is April 1st. For this summer, we're doing it totally online. We're not anticipating being quite ready to be open and offer everything we would want to offer for our summer program. So everything is virtual. For this summer, specifically, we're doing intercultural communication. We're bringing in several of our professors to teach 1 week. So it's like you can see there, it's a 3-week program. So 1 week, you'll have a different professor teaching intercultural comm. And that's a 3-unit class. And actually, that's probably a question for you, Garrett. I'm not sure if it would actually transfer as a 3-unit class. So I don't want to speak out of turn on that, but because it depends on what the host or, what the sending school allows. So we'd have to probably talk more about what the credits would look like, but that's our summer program for now. And then next summer we'll be bringing people back in person is the plan.
Awesome. So students could potentially, they could go over they could enroll in the summer, but that would be virtual, but they really wanted to go on a summer semester and be there in person. They should maybe postpone for a little bit.
That's right.